Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second featured artist interview with DIVKA for our second Bandura Bloor show, which will be taking place on May 30th at the Royal York Road United Church in Toronto. DIVKA is comprised of bandurist, which is, according to them, an esoteric Ukrainian harp, bandurist Alina Kuzma, and violist, not a violin, Zoë Ëoz. They perform primarily Eastern European folk songs about badass women in all their glory. As a sonic rebel reckoning, DIVKA's music is charged with mythology and traditional village singing, with generations of femme power, mystic whimsy, and a dash of vengeance. With sharp tongues and a deep passion for ethnomusicology, Alina Kuzma and Zoë Ëoz bring a unique sonic experience using bygone folk songs from global women's music-making traditions. DIVKA weaves a sonic constellation of delicate arpeggios and guttural ancient invocations. Alina Kuzma, a tradition-refocusing bandurist and vocal forest nymph, brings a rich waterfall of sound with her mastery of the bandura. Her ethereal vocals and skillful plucking transport listeners to a mystical realm where folklore comes alive. Zoë Ëoz, a chaos-nurturing violist and raging woodland sprite, adds a layer of complexity and tension to DIVKA's sound. Their viola balances wild energy with refined technique, equally alarming and enchanting audiences with their spirited performances. Birthed in October 2024, DIVKA has burst on Toronto's world music scene. In a short time, they have performed in different global genres and collaborated with many renowned local artists and groups, including Lean Hamo, Josh Singh, Nagma Farhmand, Marichka Marchik, and Kosa Choir. Last fall, they launched their single Harbuz and toured in Senegal in West Africa. So, welcome, Alina, and welcome, Zoe, to this interview, and thank you so much for being here. Um, I just wanted to start with a little bit, because obviously you started quite recently, but you've actually had a lot of performances, and you've kind of, just like you say in your bio, you've burst into the scene. But I wanted to kind of go back to, I guess, the origins, which wasn't that long ago, actually, and ask you a little bit about how did you sort of meet each other? Maybe there was some kind of previous collabs that you did, and what was the origin of kind of, I guess, your friendship that started this band?
Who tells the meet cute story better?
I think I'll go for this one.
Go for it.
Um, so when the war started, when the invasion of Ukraine happened, Alina and I were doing different fundraiser events. We were playing at them, and we kind of intersected there. But we didn't talk to each other because there was always sort of 1,000 people, and it was sort of like, my attention's here, my attention's here. And if you know Alina or myself, you know that we're very like, blah, our attention is here or there. Um, so we saw each other, and I thought to myself, damn, that girl's so cool. What is that crazy instrument? Holy, my God, the voice of an angel demon. I need this person in my life. And we recorded on a project together with Andrea, but
Andrea
we
Kuzma.
Andrea
We did
Kuzmich,
not
but
speak. We did not speak at all because it was a recording session.
yes. So we were ambulantly together. But then, lo and behold, we are together at our dear friend Tamar's wedding, and there's an open bar. I've been deep in the open bar. It's cold. We're like around a brazier of fire, and I approach Alina and I say, Alina, you're so cool. I love your instrument. What is it? Alina explains. And then I say, "Hey, want to be friends and be in a band together and play some music?" And Alina says, "Yes." And then Alina follows up and it actually happens.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is the most surprising part, probably, that we both followed up and were like, yes, let's do this. And that was
Yes.
after the blood pact made in the fire at
Yes,
the
there was
wedding.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
that was basically it. We just kind of started jamming, and then we were like, oh, this really works. and things escalated from there into more songs and more songs. And we
Yeah.
realized, oh, we're ready for the public, ready to be birthed. And so that happened. We released a like little video, I guess, as a preview first in when was that? Like June. And then we started formally performing in October. So since then,
When
it was
did
just
you like realize that it works? Like, did you play a particular song maybe that you played, and then like you're like, oh wow, this actually sounds really good. Like these two instruments work, and we both work together. Like, was there a moment, or was it just like after a while?
Maybe it was immediate. We just sounded cool together.
it sounded cool. I feel like we just kind of were really just playing around. We didn't really have the pressure of like, making sure that we had a gig to perform at and that we were ready in time for it. Um, like we probably jammed for about a good year or so before we finally released anything. Um, and yeah, I think initially it was pretty great, and we realized quickly that I guess like the first rule of improv being just say yes to everything, never say no. And then so we had just a nice chemistry where, one of us would say something and we'd say something, a little disclaimer like, "Oh, that's a little weird," but then the other would say, "Yes, let's keep making it more weird." So it was a good sound. It was a good kind of creative energy as well. And now we're here.
And we're both like equally unhinged, so we can feed off of each other.
Like, yeah, you escalate more and more, you hate each other.
We just kind of enable each other's crazy, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yes.
So, but Alina, you used to play violin, right? A long time ago.
I did a long time ago. That was my first formal musical instrument. I haven't really played it since probably like seventh, eighth grade. So it's been a good long time.
And
Um,
Zoe, obviously, you started playing like I think you like formally trained in violin, right? But you play
Yes,
viola.
I started on violin when I was at the young age of 3 years old, and I asked my parents every day for a year, "Can I play the violin?" And they said, "No, we have a piano." But I won eventually, which is a testament to my stubbornness.
How did the viola win though at the end?
Well, that's a good question. COVID happened and I had an existential crisis and I thought, it's COVID. There's a few options that I could, do. I could like get really fit. I could do a lot of therapy. I could do absolutely nothing, or I could do something completely unhinged and learn the viola. So I did all of those.
And that is
And
really unhinged for a violin player, right? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
but now you've kind of become turncoat. You're very, well, not anti-violin, but you're like, viola protectionist
Does
now.
Alina, do you ever like do like viola jokes as a former violin player?
Oh, I never do. I feel like I was a horrible violinist. I was never like invested in it enough, and I was never, like elitist enough in my
Oh,
mind about it. Too much, imposter syndrome to really be like, I'm the first violin.
yeah. So how do you like uh how do you feel just in general like the two instruments what do you think like they how do they fit together in sense like in what way does like the viola in your opinion uh like contribute to the overall sound together with the bandura? Like how does it work together in your opinion? Like what are the positives of these two instruments playing together? Because like when I listen to you guys it's a very like fused sound, which is very difficult to get in like a string plucked instrument and like you know what I mean? So how did you manage to accomplish that? Do you think?
Yeah, I want to preface part of that by saying, preface the answer by saying there's nobody, as far as we know, who does this instrumentation. Like viola with bandura, as far as we know, isn't a thing. And so, given that the instrumentation is really unusual, there's no precedent for us to like feel like we need to sound like that or be different than something else. Um, and because we both have the bass capability and the treble capability, we can really trade who rocks the melody, who rocks the harmony. We can both do complex harmonies with our instruments and layer our vocal melodies. So there's a lot of room for us to move around harmonically and sonically and layer. Do you have something to add to that, Alina?
Yeah, I would just add that I think part of the gelling early on was that we realized there was a really nice sonic, um, not even mirroring, but I guess just complement, where sometimes I'll play a note, and bandura is a very like it's a percussive instrument. It feels sometimes like I have to think more about it as a percussion instrument than a string instrument because you hit the note and it's gone. There is some reverb, but it's a very quick drop off. And I think there's been moments where I'll play something, and then Zoe will have maybe one of those notes in, and it feels like it extends it really nicely. So I think it is part of just like the build of bandura and viola. And where I've been playing bandura, I've been playing a lot more in the lower register, whereas I feel like there's a lot like a lot of repertoire plays in the higher register because it sounds so nice and sparkly. But I've been kind of trying to, I guess, not follow the viola, but complement it a bit more. And it's been a nice kind of, I guess, just it fills out the sound nicely. So it's a little surprising that there isn't another project that consistently does viola and bandura. Maybe there's probably been one-offs, but it's strange, like with how well it's been working, that I don't know, I haven't really come across much else of this kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and we both use a lot of extended technique on our instruments that is sort of a-traditional. For example, I use some percussive techniques that I haven't seen anyone outside of very contemporary violists do. And I do a lot of double stops, which is like the scariest thing for a string player to do. Um, but I do a lot of them because we're trying to layer a lot of notes and we don't have like a proper bass instrument, so we're both basically doing bass.
It's tag team bass.
Yes.
So do you feel like you're capable of covering, like you're saying you don't have a bass player, are you capable of covering everything kind of you want to cover in terms of the whole like um composition that you want to play? I guess my question was more connected to the fact is, do you ever feel the need of, because I've noticed you've well, before went on tour, I think you've also invited a percussion player to play with you. Yeah. So I guess the more general question is like, is DIVKA only for the two DIVKAs, or is it like like a large DIVKA band in the future? Or what, like what do you guys think? Or have you not even thought about that?
There's been so many thoughts, only thoughts. No, but yeah, when we starting out with just jamming the two of us, and the idea was that we would build up slowly, like maybe there'd be two more people. But as we've been continuing, we're like having the core of a duet has been really nice. Like at least like us, like we actually kind of surprised ourselves because first we were like we might need a bass, we might need like permanent percussion. And then as time went on, as we just started performing little gigs here, then they grew. We realized, oh, we can kind of cover a lot more than we thought was possible. Like the sonic, I guess, profile doesn't feel like it's inherently missing anything. That being said, we did start out with our friend Jash Singh, who's an amazing darbuka player. When we went to Senegal, we did take him along. And there was a really cool like extra profile and like energy to the music with darbuka. And we do work with like we also have our friend Nachme Fanamand is like on call as like an extra third if we do like a bigger festival of some sort. So if it's a bigger stage and we want a bit more of that, higher energy, especially if it's something more dancey like a festival, then it's really nice to have an amazing percussionist, and we've been lucky to work with a few. But we are kind of, yeah, at a point where we surprised ourselves, and we are pretty happy with what we're able to do with two as well. So we're open to working with like everyone and anyone, but then just being the duo as the core. So yeah.
So it's based. So you're saying it's like it's more of the two of you, and then if you need to add someone, because the reason I asked this is because obviously you're very much sort of focused on uh, sort of women's art and women's music, and so I'm just thinking like um, it's strictly. Like it's your vision, right? Like you guys want to be the vision behind your repertoire. You guys want to be leading the kind of the direction of this fully, right? And it's sort of additional people are I mean, maybe somewhat included, but you guys want to be the final kind of say, I guess, on where this goes. Because the reason why I say it is because there's all these bands that often happen. Like you will start from two people, and then they'll go up to like 10, and then it just goes off. It just goes into direction where you maybe initially didn't never even wanted to go to, right? So that's kind of why I asked that question. I don't know if you want to say more, but uh,
Who
Yeah, I
knows
think
what the future holds?
who
Anything could
knows.
happen.
And we love collaborating with people. We're always like open to just, if we like I mean, we have a lot of friends in the world music community, like in the Toronto kind of like sphere. Um, and so we've worked with like quite a few people just because we're like, I love your voice. I love how you play your instrument. I love your genre. And so we've dabbled a lot, and we have a lot of good friends who are fantastic musicians. And it's just been, yeah, we're like, why wouldn't we explore what have you, Syrian music, different genres from all over the world, like throw in Persian drumming or Turkish drumming, which we've done. So yeah, whatever the future holds, we don't know. But I think, yeah, as the core, we're pretty happy. We, yeah, wish sometimes there were more female drummers, or more I guess like women that yeah, had, I guess, like a good collection. I guess like more women's like representation and stuff. So that's also been an aspect where we're like, ooh, like we want to make sure we like highlight women, especially with our name and kind of our reason for being. So that's our one wish. But I mean, I know that like as we keep going, we'll find more people and we'll want to collaborate more with like new folks, or revisit collaborations we've already done. It's, yeah, just kind of like we're open to whatever comes our way and whatever makes sense.
so
And
how
on the
oh go ahead.
vein with collaboration, I think at least half and possibly more than half of our shows we've done collaborations and had guest artists come play with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where have you guys, maybe you guys can like sum up how's it been sort of the first few months? Where have you performed mostly? I mean, I've followed most of your shows in terms of like I've seen where you're performing, but just for the audience. Like are you guys doing Ontario? I saw you guys went to Quebec a bit. Like how has it been? What's the reception been like? What kind of comments do you get? Like is it fun? Is it stressful to go around all these shows and
Zoe.
Well, we started in Senegal. That was our first tour. We had our live birth
I
at
was
our
I was
van.
gonna ask that next because I think that's a separate question. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I'll save some for that question. But we did a live birth at Drum, and then we toured a bit in Senegal. We've done a Quebec tour. We play pretty frequently in Toronto, and also have been playing a bit north of Toronto at some smaller venues and exploring those audiences. What we found is what's interesting about playing those smaller venues north of the city is they get a lot of um, like dudes with a guitar singing covers. And I always thought, this is the music that people up here enjoy. But actually, I think what we've discovered is it's just that that's the only thing available. So when we've played sort of in those outside of the downtown areas, we find people are very surprised, and very interested because they've never heard anything like that. That being said, when we play in Toronto or Montreal, people are still surprised. They're like, what are those instruments? What are you doing? What language are you singing in? Well, spoiler alert, like 10 different languages. Um, but it's a very different energy. So we've had the privilege to be able to play in a wide range of different places, and the reaction has been across the board completely positive. People are quite thrilled by it, which is thrilling for us because we love what we're doing. So it's wonderful to have that feedback.
So, Alina, what's your typical 45-second story that you have to tell everyone who asks you what the bandura is? Like, do you have like a standard that you now
Oh
just
my
like,
God.
just say because like it's just so many times?
I mean, you know how it is. It's like, what is that? Is it a guitar? What is it? A harp? Is what? How do you tune that? Do you tune it? You know how it is. I keep telling myself I need to just like print out a business card with a quick 45-second description, and I never do, but I
Yeah,
need
just
to.
like a paragraph.
Yeah, yeah, and just have it and hand it out if I'm like really tired and it's like, oh no, but I have to represent Bandura and Ukrainian culture, but I'm really socially exhausted. Here, have a card. So I'm still afraid. But okay, what is my quick 45-second spiel? I say it is a Ukrainian harp zither. It sounds like something between a harp and a harpsichord. It has been played for hundreds of years. It was really only found historically within the boundaries of Ukraine or was played by Ukrainians. It originally was a bardic male instrument played by disabled men. And there was a whole guild and system of sharing stories and sharing news of the day. And this is how Ukrainians would get their news and their stories and their legends and a lot of religious teachings for hundreds of years. And then the Soviet Union came along and then changed things up. And there was a massive shakeup, both by the Soviets, but also by Ukrainians themselves who wanted to create something that was a little more concert conducive. And now you
10,
have the species
9,
of bandura that I now
8,
play.
7.
Got it.
That's pretty good. I mean, see, you could tell that Alina's from a Kataste family because it's Bandura is they taught that from an early age, right? To know the history from A to Z. So I mean, you're saying you have to tell this story to people around here, but I couldn't imagine what was the story like that you have to tell to audiences in Senegal about it. That might have been even more interesting.
Yeah. So
You have to do it with your French skills from uh, that you learned
which
in the
are
last 3 months before going, right?
Yeah, no, I was heavily Duolingoing. I did pretty good. I was able to talk to sound guys and communicate. Yes, no, bad, good. Um, but also a really yeah, we had Josh with us and he actually speaks French fluently, unlike us who are like we so we tried our best and I think he said what I think he translated what I said. I trust that. But I guess the gist I would give is something a little bit shorter, just kind of saying like, well, this is from Eastern Europe. And I think one thing we don't really appreciate in, I guess, like the West, where we talk pretty consistently with like, I don't know, just like Europe talks to North America, doesn't really talk to a lot of the rest of the world sometimes. So I would give a little geography lesson and say like, okay, so if you've heard anything like about the news, there's a country in Eastern Europe called Ukraine. It borders Russia, and Russia is like a big empire. So I'd have to kind of like really take it to the basics because, what do we know about Senegalese history? I know very little still, even after being there. And I don't know about their imperial kind of history. I don't know about their musical history. Well, at least when I got there. So I just kind of take it to the very, very like, I guess just introductory level. And I think for the most part, though, just because the language barrier and because it's like, well, why am I here? I just let the Bandura speak for itself for the most part. And then people, if they came up after, then we'd try to, communicate like either through friends of ours who were hosting us or through, through Josh when he was around with us. So yeah, generally people I think would just look at it and go like, what on earth? So we had so many people coming up and just like going, what is this? Like even just kids off the street. One day we did a show like in a restaurant that had an open, I guess, patio, and there are just kids like behind me just going like, what? So yeah, just kind of like letting people experience it. I like just offered people to like hold it, you know, check it out, play it. We met a few local musicians who were, you know, enthralled, captivated by it. So I did like an instrument swap with one guy, and other people I was just like, yeah, just take it, try it, see if you like it. Yeah, just letting it speak for itself and just kind of saying like this is what we do, talking a little bit like through our music, explaining what our songs are about, and yeah, just I don't know, just letting the story happen and focusing more on like what do you guys want to know? So that was the key to it. But overall, yeah, I think folks found a lot of similarity with they have like two instruments there that are very string heavy. There's the halam, which is like a small, I think 3 string, like basically guitar, but the size of a ukulele. And then there's the kora, which is played in a lot of West Africa, and it's basically a gourd. And instead of playing like, you know, one hand here, like bandura, you have like 2 lines of harp basically, and then you play it with your thumb and then like these fingers, which like I found crazy impressive. I was like, how do you do this? I switched bandura with a kora player, and I took his kora, and we were both like, "You're a genius. How do you do this?"
So it's
So
actually pretty close. Like that's pretty similar actually, right?
yeah, yeah.
So Zoe, like, can you tell us a little bit more about like how did you guys get invited to this festival? Like, what was this festival? Maybe like more info about it. And how like I guess maybe just talk a little bit about like your experience of the country. Like, how was the whole experience? How was performing there? Like, was it difficult, pressure, or did you guys have like an amazing time and it was just all smooth sailing?
Yeah, well, we got invited to play at a festival, Bideew Festival, ran by Makeda Productions, and we got invited because through Jash, I was friends with the woman who runs the festival, Manet, and we hung out one winter's eve. She'd come to town. I believe she was doing a conference somewhere in Canada, but she stopped by to see Niagara Falls, as one does. And we hung out, we got a drink, and she said, "Hey, you want to come play my festival in Senegal?" And I said, "Yes." And then I said, "Hey, Lena, do you want to come play a festival in Senegal?" And I was like, "What?"
Now, did we have any repertoire at this point when Zoe said yes? We were
No.
preparing, but we hadn't like we didn't have a full set yet. We maybe had like
We had
two
like
songs.
we had like 3 songs, two
Yeah,
songs.
yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, of course we can go on tour to West Africa. No problem. We can definitely do that." Uh, so we did do that. And Senegal was wonderful. Senegal, I will say we did go in the hottest, driest month of the year, and that was pretty intense. It was pretty hot and dry. Luckily, one of the spots we stayed had a pool, so we would go in the pool and hang out with the bats who would dive bomb the pool. That was a formative experience, but we had a wonderful time in Senegal. Senegal is beautiful. Senegalese people are really friendly and welcoming. We had the opportunity to play. We did it's sort of like a musical jam workshop with local artists, and that was so inspiring. And then hearing other artists perform at the festival, there was a children's group of singers who were incredible. Our minds were blown. And and it was interesting because we were just like, "What? This is crazy." And they're like, "Oh yeah, this is normal. This is yeah, of course, this is how we sing. This is just the communal singing about fishing." And we're like, "We never heard polyphony like this." And it just like went on and they were drumming. Woo, it was incredible. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Alina?
Anything to add? Oh, I'd say like in terms of just like, you know, like scary moments or whatever, we, you know, plan this tour. We're like, oh my God, like, okay, we're doing this, we're doing this. We're just on such a focus, like tunnel vision, and we're trying to get all our repertoire done. We did. There's no more effective, I guess, influence to get stuff done than booking a tour before you're entirely ready. But like when we got there, we were like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna perform, and then we're just realizing like, oh my God, what do we have to offer? Are we even like what are we as like just a couple of like white ladies who do Eastern European music doing? Like, is anyone gonna even care or want us here, or like what is going on? And we had this moment before every show, like every engagement we had this moment of like, oh God, what are we doing here? But then every time we performed, it was like we had the best audience participation. We had some of like the just like funnest interactions with other musicians after the fact, or just like you'd have kids coming up and just being like, what on earth is this? Yeah, so every time we just had like this beautiful, like warm welcome and just like really heartfelt thank yous. And I think what some folks said was Senegalese music is very cheery. It's very kind of like trancy, but it's just very like sweet. Like I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it's a lot of like major melodies. They don't really go into any minor uh I guess tunes. And so we're coming in with like some pretty heavy stuff at times, and like some pretty like swampy kind of mystic little bit like creepy stuff. And even then we'd be like, is anyone gonna like this? But then after the fact, folks would go, that was so different. What was that? And they just want to know more. So it was just this really cool opportunity. Like, I mean, obviously we were just really anxious for a lot of it, but it ended up being really great. And like, I don't know, we learned a lot about what we're capable of, and I guess just how much music is just, I don't know, a connecting point, and how just as long as you're willing to share, and as long as like you put all of yourself into a performance, it's, you know, there will be someone there who really appreciates it. And we've had a lot of people at every show who are into it. So even though we're very strange.
Did you guys maybe like hear some songs that you might want to include in your like repertoire in the future? Something specifically that maybe you heard in Senegal? Like
Yeah, well,
There
the thing about the music we heard in Senegal was we didn't hear any women's music. And that's not to say it doesn't exist, it's just we weren't exposed to it on our trip there. And we're very focused on music for women or by women or about women. Um, so we didn't have the opportunity to delve ethnomusicologically into that niche of music, but I think there's definitely room there for collaboration.
Yeah, and room for kind of like expanding on, if we go back to West Africa, or if we like meet more musicians, which we have like some folks who do, bring people over. So we're kind of like we're very open to, now that we've had like a little taste, we're kind of like, ooh, what else is there? What is the hidden side of things? We also there was okay, we had this jam, and there were little, I guess, like motifs that would repeat in the Senegalese music that was like really cool. And I picked some up. So there were some little things that I was like, okay, this can apply to Bandura really nicely from Halam or from Kora. And then the craziest thing at the very end of the jam, we do this one song that's based off a children's song, like from Western Ukraine. And the original song is hop hop kozunyo, hop hop sirenka, hop hop kozunyo, moya bilenka. And I shit you not, they start playing this song, just like the exact melody. It was just that on loop for like a while. It was the craziest thing. And I try to say that is a song. Like that is a Ukrainian song. And they're like, oh yeah, that's just like a thing. What? No, it's not Ukrainian, it's Senegalese. I'm like, no, but it's the same song. It was the freakiest thing. So I feel like I'm gonna have to like go and like ask a few questions about that song in particular, or just like, I don't know. There's a lot that can be translated quite a bit from West African music from what we experienced. Like the jam was easy. It was really easy to do. The music was really translatable. So yeah.
so now that you guys um been around for a bit of time, are you thinking of doing some kind of recording where you would put together kind of your, I guess, I mean, like how many like total tracks have you guys kind of performed now? I guess
Ooh.
like over 20, I guess probably.
Over 20. We
Yeah.
probably are around like 25 or so, because we had a Christmas season. We told
Mm.
Oh,
ourselves when we started, no Christmas stuff, no Christmas stuff. But then a few, presenters came up to us and they were like, so a Christmas show. And we were like, ooh, if this presenter's coming up to we need a Christmas show.
And there's so
Um,
much cool repertoire, and
really
it's
cool.
also catchy.
Yeah. So we were kind of sad when we had to leave it finally in, March. Um,
We
but
extended Christmas pretty far.
yeah, we extended it as long as we could. So yeah, there's probably like, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 pieces that we've done. Like it's a lot. Um, in a short time, which I'm like, wow, we've done that. Like just now I'm realizing, wow, that's a lot. Um, but we have been doing like little recordings here and there. So we have our single that's out. If you want to go download it, it's on Bandcamp. You can donate, just pay $1 or donate a bit more if you think we're cool dames. So we did that in my husband's home recording studio, and that was like super awesome, easy. And since then, we've done a recording with Zoe Banjax Records
Yeah,
in
with
Montreal.
us.
We did 2 Montreal recordings.
We did one there, and we did another one with Mark Lawson. And we're currently in the process of trying to accrue funding to record further. And we have a grandiose scheme to do so. And we do hope that many will attend the concert and will enjoy our music and be interested in funding our album because we are ready to record. We just require capital.
We can do quite crazy things with very little capital, but imagine what we could do with capital.
With real capital.
Yeah, you guys are such a feisty capitalists, man. Um, so you're saying like we can, I guess, like, re expect some kind of recording by the end of the year or somewhere around there, probably, you would think.
We're I think for us, like, I mean, if we could get something out by the end of the year, that'd be amazing. But just with how like time and money works, we probably won't. But by next year, we're like that's a hard stamp. Like if it doesn't happen, we'll be very sad. So
Yes, but if there's anyone watching this interview who then listens to our music and thinks, "My, what wonderful dames. I wish to fund this album so I can hear it all the time." The lines are open. We're available.
for the pledge of $1 a
Link
day,
below,
you can
right?
fund a crazy lady and her musical schemes.
Yeah. One more question I kind of wanted to ask you guys because you've performed a lot in clubs, and well, I mean, not like those clubs. Let's not go there. Um, but this show is going to be a bit more quiet, no background music, maybe no need for monitor, but we could still do it. We could. But it'll be because I don't think I've seen you guys play in like a non-club atmosphere, at least not on your social media yet. Like it's always been people in the show, kind of some sound in the back, some music in the back, or some sounds in the back.
Like
Uh,
chatting, yeah.
yeah. So, have you performed kind of in that more kind of sound closed
Like a
environment?
concert, like a sit
Yeah,
down
yeah,
concert.
yeah. Or like in
Have
which
we?
one do you prefer?
I don't think
We,
we
I
have.
mean, we played it, the Transac, but the thing about us, and that was more of like a sit down, we're going to play to you. But the thing about us is we talk to our audience a lot. We make the audience talk to us a lot, and we make the audience sing with us a lot. So we all love so many artists who play the music, and there's kind of like a wall between them and the audience. That's not our style. Like I totally respect that style, but we're chatty Cathy's. We're gonna make the audience talk to us. Um, so I don't think it's happened before where
Yeah.
we just do the concert setting, even though we have had the opportunity to do it more concerty. Like even when we played Tapestry, the setup of that it is like a more clubby setting, but the way we had it set up for that show was more like people can
Yeah.
sit and listen. But we're still like, hey, you over there,
Yeah. Hey, you in the bar who's trying to be alone right now. Um, and
join us.
Join us, please do.
Like,
Make
hey, you
make your
in the
favorite.
sixth pew of the church. Like, it's
We might, you never know.
Yes,
Um,
that is liable.
we yeah, generally it's just like where the gigs are at. Like we've done it's mostly about like just for the most part it's been like public spaces. Like we did the Aga Khan pop-up, which is, people walking in and out. We performed a lot at Drome, which is, people walking in and out, ordering drinks, having food, chatting with friends. Um, so that's just kind of been what we've done for the most part. Um, and it's just kind of like what the offers and like what has been receptive so far. Um, but we yeah, in terms of sound, because I think you were asking me earlier about sound, like in a chat or something, where like, what is it like to perform in a bar? And honestly, Bandura, it's a bit of a learning curve for every sound guy we've come across. They have a moment of like, okay. And then, they figure it out on the go. We've been really lucky. We've had no major like, troubles with hearing each other. Like sometimes it's a little harder than others, but we've been, okay. Like we've been able to get through a set just fine. Um, and even with people chatting or socializing and not really stopping to hear sometimes, then like we're doing okay. So honestly, a concert, like a sit down concert where we are the event, baby. I think we're gonna be great. We're gonna be great. We're used to a lot of distractions, and there are no distractions. We're gonna be captivating.
And do you find that there's certain repertoire that maybe is actually like gonna be maybe in a club setting it just doesn't make sense to sing that kind of song or play that kind of song because it's just the inner like maybe piano or pianissimo details won't be heard.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like an opportunity for you to maybe explore some songs that you wouldn't be able to in like a kind of a more of a club setting?
We've still done a lot of our like slower stuff. We don't really go. I mean, no, we do have like a lot of piano moments, but we'll still try to pull a lot of them off even in a club setting because we've found like in very busy spaces we'll have folks maybe just like coming there for the food or the hangout, but then we always tend to have a core of people at least that really sit and want to listen and are having an experience. So and sometimes it's about asking them. Like sometimes we'll say, okay, we've had a lot of fun dancey stuff. Do you guys want to get dark? Do we want to have a little sad moment? Anyone gone through a bad breakup recently? And we'll feed off of that, whatever our listeners are feeling. But no, I am welcoming kind of a softer space, especially for some of our more like trancy stuff. There's a lot that we like to milk when we have the chance to if it's a quieter day. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know Zoe was going to say something, but uh, I guess that sort of probably wraps it up. I mean, I wanted to ask a little bit about just also your repertoire that you are going to be playing, but also I wanted to ask Alina, this is sort of more of like because I've the couple of times I heard you do have a lot of Ukrainian songs, right?
Hmm.
But is the goal kind of more to be sort of I mean I know because you know a lot more Ukrainian songs right now, but it's still
Yeah.
taking you guys time to learn different ones. What's sort of like the international like repertoire? Like, do you guys want to sing strictly Eastern European stuff, or are you open to basically like anything that is kind of in our vibe, or how is what's kind of the plan for the future, or maybe you're gonna theme it or something for
Yeah. I mean, you said it well. Like my data point is just mostly Ukrainian because I grew up in this tradition. And I grew up with other Ukrainian music traditions. But we've never like seen it as like this is all that we work with. Um, and like Zoe has trained in a bunch of traditions and like, grew up in like a really eclectic, musical exposure. So we and me as well. Like I never like even my bandura exposure has been through my family, which like, we have stuff like Irish songs that I've been singing for like a while, and then like my mom taught me an English folk song or two growing up, and then like my uncles like collaborated with like Mongolian throat singers and stuff. So I never really have like in my mind, like in my, I don't know, just my knowledge of bandura, it's never just been a Ukrainian thing. It's a Ukrainian knowledge point that can be extended to anywhere if you want to. So I think that has been brought into DIVKA as well, where, you know, like our name is DIVKA because it just felt like the correct name of what we do. Just, you know, girls living their best lives. Like the word DIVKA is not just girl, it's like it's a lass. It's like there's like sass to it, right? So we've generally been finding songs like we made a point of looking for songs that are outside Ukrainian traditions. We've gotten lucky. We have a couple Bulgarian songs that were like perfect fit. We have an English one that was actually really hard to find. We tried finding an American folk song, really hard to find ones where, you know, the self-empowered woman does not die at the end. You know, I'll leave the politics there. But so we've just been open to exploring and open to finding like what is around and what does bandura translate well to. And then in the collaborations that we've done, like we've done Syrian music, we took a Spanish carol this year. And yeah, we're just kind of like we're into the exploration of it all, and like into the exploration of just what it is to be a musician in like the Toronto world music bubble. Is actually really not bubbly at all. There's so much interchange and like exchange that it'd be kind of a wasted opportunity if we didn't like check out what else is out there and work with other people and learn from them. So I don't know, I consider ourselves lucky, and I look forward to checking out more stuff. There's more Ukrainian stuff I want to check out, and there's also more stuff outside of Ukraine that I want to check out. It's just like it's whatever makes sense to us at the time. So I don't know if Zoe, you have anything to add to that, because you're coming from like a different life. Like you did klezmer, you did Arabic music, you've done like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I brought a lot of Balkan stuff to the band, just like in grooves, and we have a Macedonian song that we do, which we blend two Macedonian songs and a Ukrainian one. So like we're always listening for what works well together. Like for example, we have a Karelian song that goes into a Crimean song. So it's not just like pure Ukrainian. But we're looking at a bunch of other stuff. There's stuff in the works. Right now I'm going on an adventure looking at some Persian folk music and Tibetan folk music. So, you know, there's so many tendrils and opportunities for us to explore. But yeah, we have a technical basis and we have a knowledge base, what we already know, and we're building off of that and exploring other traditions too.
Is it difficult or like time consuming to have to sort of research? Because you know, every time you do a song from a different country, it's kind of like gotta research the pronunciation a bit. You gotta research the history behind the song, get the context right. It's a lot of work, right? If you're doing like maybe 7 or 8 different countries of folk songs.
We love it. We're obsessed. We love it.
We're like, ooh, give us like the juicy, you know, like subtext of this song. Give us like the political discourse that was happening at the time of when this song really was big. Like we're kind of all into that. You know, and there's times where it's like, okay, this is like a Christmas carol. It's been around for years and years. Like there's not going to be a lot more to be said about it necessarily unless we like come across something. You know, so there's some that we pay a lot more attention to than others. Other times it's like, what does this song kind of like, you know, mean to us or mean to the person that taught it to us? Also, yeah, we're lucky to have a lot of people as resources. Like Zoe is talking to like Farsi speakers to find a lot of these things, and like is friends with a lot of Tibetans, or just like has Tibetan, you know, like networks. So we do kind of go through it by like a people basis. Like we're not just taking it as like a relic, I suppose. Like we see it as like a living piece of something. So we most often try to find someone who knows a lot about that tradition or that style of music, and yeah, kind of go from there. So people help a lot. People's knowledge base, like we're lucky to have access to it. And sometimes, you know, there's some songs where it's just like, let's just do it. So it's just kind of like finding a balance of like, let's like really invest into this entirely like new culture that we aren't all that familiar with, or let's, find this Ukrainian song that just like really slaps really hard. We can just kind of, like leave it now on the shelf. Maybe we'll come back and research it, or, reconsider it. And sometimes the context of things we perform has changed in our minds, or, like there's something that I suddenly notice in the text, or even like our American song. It was like, oh, this used to be, just like this funny thing about a gunslinging, like cowgirl. And now all of a sudden, just politically, things feel a lot darker when we sing it. Like it feels a lot heavier and a lot more meaningful, in the last year since we started performing it. So yeah. And then the Ukrainian ones, like constantly, things that I pick up just like reading or learning more about folk, I guess, traditions and beliefs and whatnot. They become richer every time. Um, so yeah, it's an organic process, and it's an intentional process with like at the same time, I'd say.
Do you think it's this is probably one of the last questions, but
Mhm.
this is more for Alina Bandura Central, but do you think it's important, especially now, kind of to have, Bandura players perform sort of multicultural music so they could, more cultures can see kind of Ukrainian instruments or Ukrainian kind of heritage being interspersed together with their musical heritage, and in a sense, I guess, uh, bring more kind of interest into Ukraine and kind of, you know what I mean? Like, because obviously it's a difficult time right now. We all are Ukrainians. I mean, our friends as well. We try to do everything we can to increase as much awareness as what's happening in our country or our country of origin for our families. Have you found that to be kind of a positive effect on kind of, I guess maybe maybe you see a Macedonian person who hears you play a Macedonian song in Bandura, or you meet someone from the Balkans that hears you
Yeah.
play. Do you think I would assume it is, but well, maybe you have some experiences that you would like to share regarding that.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I feel like Zoe also will have like, I don't know, maybe like an interesting like observation, just kind of like seeing it from the outside. Like as I'm talking to people, I'm not really maybe aware of things that you might be. But what I've seen, like even before the full scale invasion, is that music is probably the most effective tool of like diplomacy, and not just diplomacy in like a political way, but just even in a this is who we are as people kind of way. Um, so like being able to kind of captivate an audience, take them through collective experience together, and then, you know, through either through direct statements like DIVKA Braka. Every time I've seen them perform the last probably like 15 years or so, they end every concert with just like, they haven't said much during the concert. They don't really speak a lot of English, but then they'll end every concert with like a statement of just like stop the war, stop Putin, stand with Ukraine, good night. And like the chills that happen, just like you look at people around, it's like you got people with tears in their eyes. I've seen like I'm lucky enough to have been able to, like travel with some other bandura players or see them perform uh like around Canada, around the US. And it's the same thing where it's like, I'm just going to tell the story. I'm just going to tell the story of what is going on, of what are the stories of these songs. And this is me. I am Ukrainian, either by birth or by heritage. And yeah, just this is what I do. And just being able to take people on a transportive experience is like a huge gift. And I think that the experiences that I've had, at least like with DIVKA, it's been pretty similar, where we'll show up in friggin' Senegal. We'll show up in Montreal, in a very Quebecois centric neighborhood, um, in like a very French speaking bar. And like there are people that just come up after and just say like, thank you. I had an emotional experience I did not expect to have. I didn't set out to do that. Um, but people will tell us about their culture, their I guess their experience with like oppression, or if they know a Ukrainian refugee, or if they it's just there's a I guess a very visceral kind of basic level that we all kind of get to. We all kind of boil back down to listening to music or experiencing art. And it's about spending that time with someone that I think makes people just kind of like, I don't know, it breaks something down, and it allows people to just kind of like get back to the same level of humanity and just enjoying something together. Um, so I think that if there's a chance to do that in a lot of spaces, like having a chance to go to different places or collaborate with musicians from different cultures, it's been powerful. Like, we're able to play for different people who wouldn't necessarily listen to a bandura or really care about Ukrainian music, but now all of a sudden it's like you not only brought something to them, you not only like kind of gave them a piece of like what is Ukraine, you gave them an experience of like you gave them a gift. Essentially, you gave them a you know something that they will appreciate, that they like. So I think there's something there. There's like that exchange of like, here you go, and now maybe if I have a chance to say something like, this is from Ukraine, it almost didn't make it. So that there's I don't know, there's nothing like it. I haven't seen any kind of like political campaign or what have you really have the same effect. And sometimes it's for like maybe three people come up to you, or maybe one person comes up to you right after. But like it's the most kind of impactful immediate thing that I've seen.
That was
You.
beautiful. That was
Thank you.
beautiful, Lena.
Well, I
Thank
want
you.
to thank you guys for doing this. I think it's very important work, and it really helps. Like you're saying, Alina, you might not notice it, but it does help, because it's these things people tend to take them home with you and think about them, and it's a long-term effect on people's minds, I find. But so I'll just remind everyone that yeah, our concert's only about 11 days away on May 30th at Royal York Road United Church at 7:30. Tickets are on sale, so if you guys have reviewers of friends, family, please consider coming. It's only about $35. And all our net proceeds will be going to the Canada Ukraine Foundation Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, which goes straight to various projects they do in Ukraine to help humanitarian projects. I think, believe it, right now they have one that deals with helping.
It's a mental health project, right? It's like
There was, yeah, there was mental health campaign they had, and now I think they have a campaign about bringing in the children that got brought back from that got stolen to Russia, brought back to Ukraine. It's to bring help them kind of re-enter society. So yeah, it's humanitarian appeal. They do a lot of good work in Ukraine. So just to finish it off, I mean, you guys just final thoughts, and maybe just say your last few words. I say it like I'm gonna about to kill you. Like, yeah. But other than that, thank you guys so much for doing this interview, and we kept it roughly after under an hour, which is great.
We did it.
Yeah,
Well,
but
it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Lovely.
We're thrilled to be playing this show, and it's been wonderful to be interviewed by you. I believe our first interview was in
Yeah.
Senegal, and this is now our second one.
This is the
So
first one we could like respond to effectively.
without a translator,
Yes.
yeah.
okay, Lena's like, yes, that's it. All right, thank you guys for coming, and oh, I forgot to say this last time, but Slava Ukraini.
Героям
So,
слава.
lava.
Bye bye, guys. See you soon.